Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Casey, and this is your morning news, and it's live, as Martin Tyler would say. Now, obviously, today's is April the 1st, so researching for this news has been an absolute minefield, but we have got some stories for you this morning. We've got some stories about players who are currently in the team. We've got stories about players who might be in the team. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And obviously, since it's live, get your comments in down below, and we'll be periodically going through them and having a look at what you have to say. But let's start with our first story, and that is the Donny van de Beek situation. Now, The Athletic have said out that Donny van de Beek's have come out and said that Donny van de Beek's future is completely dependent on Paul Pogba. They are intertwined, so to speak. Now, Donny van de Beek has obviously not played that much this season. He's made 27 appearances, which looks like a big number, but when you actually look at the numbers, he's only played 317 minutes in the Premier League and only completed 90 minutes of football for Manchester United once. He's not really had that breakout season that many people thought he would when he signed for United for 35 million, and it seemed to be that was the case, that he was signed early as a sort of replacement for Paul Pogba if Paul Pogba was to leave. But obviously, Paul Pogba's seen a resurgence in form. There's been more of a say that he might end up signing that new contract. But Donny van de Beek seems to be that whether he stays at United, how he plays out, will be dependent on the Frenchman. Now, Paul Pogba, there's been some news on that as well. Fabrizio Romano, on his podcast, the Here We Go podcast. I mean, imagine never anyone pointed out that Here We Go was a good catchphrase. But Here We Go podcast has said that Paul Pogba, Solskjaer hasn't given up on looking to sign get Paul Pogba to sign a new contract. He's very positive about that, but he's scared that Mino Raiola and his demands of a higher wage, maybe even a buyout clause for Paul Pogba, may result in United not sanctioning a new deal. But it's looking more positive towards the Paul Pogba contract situation. We saw in the past that Paul Pogba wasn't likely to sign a new contract. He wasn't happy at United, and he wasn't playing at the time, and now he's playing more, and now he's getting more back into the team. So it might be that Paul Pogba signs a new contract. That might lead to Donny van de Beek not staying at United. We'll have to see about that. But I would like to see Donny van de Beek stay at United. 35 million. He's shown his pedigree in the past for Ajax. He's shown his pedigree when he came on as a substitute for his first debut appearance. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that situation plays out in summer. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. Now, moving on to some ingoing transfers. That's the one we're looking for. And that is 3 centre-back targets have been identified. Now, Fabrizio Romano also on his podcast was talking about this. And the first one he talked about was Jules Kean, the centre-back from Sevilla, very young, 23 years old, a very good centre-back, very well-rounded. He's seen as apparently the perfect signing for Manchester United by many in the club. He'll apparently cost around 80 million euros from Sevilla. There were some reports that buyout clause had been lowered, or the asking price had been lowered than the buyout clause, but it seems that Sevilla is sticking to their guns, according to Fabrizio Romano, and sticking with that 80 million price tag, which may be the sticking point. Now, I like Jules Kean. I think he's a very good centre-back. I think he was very good when he played against us. I think he is very good in the air, despite the fact that he's 5'11". He's very good in the air. He's very good on the ball. The only issue is he's more right-sided. He has played on the right-back before for Sevilla, and that means we have another right-sided defender. Some people obviously don't really see the problem with having too many right-sided defenders. It just allows for more natural ball movement and progression, which you see a lot in teams nowadays. I think would be a very good signing for United, but we'll have to wait and see. Too expensive, United Forever podcast said. Are we getting our free? We're going to talk about that now. This is a shortlist that has been revealed, some of the players on the shortlist, and the next player on that shortlist is obviously Pau Torrez. We've talked about him so many times on this channel. It seems to be that there's a lot of movement there. There's a lot of interest from United. And Fabrizio Romano came out and said that he's been offered to United many times. Obviously, 60 million euros. There's a couple of clubs interested in. Real Madrid, apparently. Barcelona. The Spanish cohort of very big clubs. But United apparently interested. And again, he's another centre-back who's good in the air, good on the ball. would be very good in United's back line. Dr. Tom Haroon says, buy defender from Aston Villa, Tyrone Mings. I don't like Tyrone Mings. So my opinion is never going to be good on him. I never really liked him when he's stood on Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and then Zlatan Ibrahimovic hit him back, which was very fun to watch. I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's very good in the system. I think he's very bailed out by Emiliano Martinez. And I think Ezri Konsa as well has played very well in that defensive line. So I think it's a very good team effort that makes Aston Villa good. So I'm not really big on Tyrone Mings. But now on to the final name that was listed in the centre-back shortlist. And this is a player that many of you may know from being linked with Liverpool, or probably more likely do not know at all, and that is Sven Botman, the 21-year-old Dutch centre-back who plays for Lille in Ligue 1. Now, Lille are having a very good season. They're currently second in the Ligue 1 behind PSG, but when you actually look at that, they're joint on points with PSG and are playing them, I think, in the next match, so that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But they are currently, joint top on points, goal difference down. But Lille have conceded the least goals in Ligue 1 this season. They've conceded 19, which I think the next one up is PSG with 21. I think he's a very good centre-back. He's very tall. He's very good in the air. He's very commanding. He's kind of all the things that we kind of knock Lindelof for not being. He's imperious in the air. He's very tall. That's the sort of thing that they're looking at. And he'll probably be a lot of a cheaper option because obviously Lille, the French league doesn't have the TV money. It doesn't have the sort of resources that many other leagues have, and it might look cheaper. But the fact is, Lille did sell Nicolas Pepe to Arsenal for 70 million, which was a very considerably high price at the time. But it'll be interesting to see wherever he goes. He's obviously got some very good numbers. He's played most of the games. He's been available for most of the games, and Transfermarkt have his value at 22.5 million. So I think that he'd be a very good signing, and maybe a very shrewd signing for United. Let's look back at the comments. We'll have a little look there. Some saying to sell Paul Pogba. That's Jonas Loic. Jonas Loic also says Sergio Ramos or Jules Koundé or Rafael Varane or Paul Torrez. he's been Mancunianized already. Nasser Hate said if Sevilla sells Koundé, they're likely to replace him with Marco Senesi. That's the Feyenoord centre-back, a very good young centre-back who I probably would like to see United look at if we're looking at more shrewd signings in the summer window. Now, onto a sort of international watch for the last couple of stories. And there wasn't much happening last night, except for England. Two positive from that England match. Luke Shaw didn't play, which means he was rested, which means he'll be more likely to be fit going into the next Premier League matches. We've seen that England duty has caused injuries to the sort of likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi, for the under-21s, who went out to a absolute screamer last night, and I think under-21s management will probably get replaced because they haven't done as well as they should do. But Luke Shaw obviously got rested, and Harry Maguire played full 90 minutes for England and bailed them out of drawing with Poland with a sweetly struck finish for England with his foot, not his head for once, which was quite good. I quite liked it. It was a very good game, sort of well-rounded. You kind of saw, obviously, without Lewandowski, it was not going to be very good. Obviously, James scored for Wales as well. Scrappy Doo reminded me of that. Yeah, we would talk about that before. James, obviously, getting on the score sheet for Wales was very good as well. Maguire's getting better. Yes, I think he is. I think he's very good on the ball. He's finding his feet a bit, and he's finding his confidence again in the United back line. Finally, Alex A says Koulibaly, Torrez and Koundé, one of those three he'd like. I feel the Koulibaly noise has died down. Koulibaly's been a weird one for me because I think, obviously, as he gets older, the asking price goes down, and that causes... And obviously, as he gets older, they're going to ask for less. The contract, they're going to ask for less. And it's kind of like whether you want him for a long-term project. But we've seen with Chelsea this season, they got in a 35-year-old Thiago Silva, and he's really shored up that back line. But we'll have to see on that. We'll have to see what happens in the summer. I think that it's kind of certain now that United are looking for a centre-back. They're going to get a centre-back in the next window. But we're going to keep you up to date with all the news. We've got loads of videos coming up. So make sure you check that. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe to Stretford Paddock. Make sure you stay tuned for all that content. And this has been your news this morning. It's been live, and I'll see you next time.